Hello, hello. Hey, David. Oh, David, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, cool. I'm still trying to figure this thing out. So here we go. And can you see when somebody? Can you see who's on, David?
I'm not sure. Actually,
Okay.
yes, I can.
Okay. There's Xander. Okay, I'm Rebecca. That's right. Today I'm Mrs. Beard today. Hello, Xander. You hear me? Wave. Ah, there you are. Cool. I am Rebecca Beard, by the way, just in case you guys are wondering who she is. That's me today. Colin, can you hear me? I don't see you. I guess you don't have video. Do you see the chat?
Yes.
Great. Oh, good. Okay, yeah, you can unmute too. I forgot. Cool. If anybody, I am talking right now. I'm not sure.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, got you, Joel. Good deal. How are you? Oh, let me turn on my video just for a bit so everybody can see me. Let's see. There. Hi. Okay. I don't know how to do this, so am I actually waving? Yeah, there we go. Okay.
It's that.
Does everybody know see the chat and know how to use that? Feel free to chat and that. Most of the time, I'm going to keep everybody muted, but if you just want to chime in and say something, have a question, and I'm not acknowledging you on the chat, let me know, and I'll try to, or you could just chime in rather. Let's see.
Hey guys, while we're waiting, and I'll say it again in a minute, if everyone could on the chat say your name and then your email, because I'll need that today to send you guys some stuff. So go ahead and start putting your name and your email, please, on the chat. You can send it directly to me. You don't have to send it to everybody.
Okay, so we're going to try to figure out, we're going to start, guys, for you who are already on, with like they call housekeeping. Mrs. Gardner's going to go over some of the things we're going to do to try to make this a little more doable, especially for grading, because that's going to be a little bit complicated. Let's see, how many we got on so far? 10. I know Bear won't be here. Is Drew on here? He thought he could be on here for the first part. That's another thing, we need to take attendance, Kimberly. I forgot about that. I guess with the emails, with them putting our email in the chat, that can work for that.
I'm on my
Yeah,
phone and I don't see a
that'll
chat.
take attendance.
You don't see a chat?
Do you have it? Let's see. If you go at the very bottom, Xander, do you know where the chat is? Can you tell everybody? From a phone.
Let's see if I could share my screen real quick.
I'm on a computer, and it's a little different when you're on a computer versus a phone. So if people are on a phone, it'll be different.
Okay, can you see my my screen,
Mhm.
David?
Yes.
Do you see where at the bottom there's things popping up, and if I go all the way to the right, there's a more, and there's a chat. I don't know if it'll be exactly the same because I'm a host. So,
I'm in the more section and it doesn't say anything about chat.
oh, I wonder why it wouldn't do that. That's really odd.
For me, I'm in the app. I use the app, not the browser.
Mhm.
And for me, if I just like scroll to the bottom, a little dock will pop up and you can see where it says chat. I'm going to send a message and let's see if that pops it up to make everybody be able to see it.
On the like a tablet or a phone, on the top right, there's 3 dots and they say more underneath it. If you tap it and select chat, you can get to chat to there.
There's
Oh,
no
that was
chat
straight
button
to
for
you.
me.
You know what? Do you have group chat turned off? I wonder,
Maybe.
Ms. Munsell?
Oh, group chat.
That may be why.
I have no idea. I can see everybody's chat. See, so I don't know where that control might be. I didn't experience that problem before. Oh, one thing, David, are you using a computer, David?
No, I'm not.
Just a phone. Okay.
But even I'm on a computer and it's only allowing me to chat with you. It won't let me send a group to the whole group.
Ooh, really? Okay.
So I'm thinking
You know,
it's probably turned off.
I'm trying to figure out how to get back to my, oh, I know. Hang on. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. Let me stop sharing and I can't figure out how to stop sharing. This is weird.
Oh, I found the chat.
We
Oh,
found it.
good.
See if it will let you message me directly, Mrs. Gardner, directly with your, just put your name and your email, please.
Okay, this is odd. I'm trying to figure out how to stop sharing and I can't. You see, all it says is new share. Usually when I click on that, or when I did that before, it would let me stop sharing because I need to stop sharing so I can get back to my video.
If you press Alt-S, it may stop.
Okay.
Share screen.
Yeah, let me try that. There we go. Thank you. Okay. So you have, everybody has chat box and everybody can hear me. If you can't hear me, well, not a good day. Let's see. Me reply here. And if you're having any troubles hearing me or seeing anything, just whatever, either, like I said, again, unmute yourself and say so or chat here.
I can hear you.
Great, okay.
How do I send a message?
Do you, oh, I don't know
Yeah,
how to
this is
send,
what I want to.
I do not know how to send a message. I only know how to use a chat.
That's the same thing. I don't think it's turned on, so I don't know that they can send me.
A message, just
Yeah.
put it, they can only put it in the chat.
No, well, I don't think they can chat. Same thing. I don't think that they can chat. I think that
Wow.
chatting is turned off.
Okay, well, try now. Oh, you're not seeing anybody. You know what? I apologize. I think you're right. Try now. Can
We're just doing
everyone?
There it is. Yep. Okay.
Sorry, that was my bad. You're right. I did not.
Well, and it
have
needs to
set.
be turned off for the most of the class, but not for right now.
Okay, so can you go back and see any of the ones they've already typed though?
I can't.
Joel, Colin, Rachel, can you guys resend, please? Resend your email. I mean your yeah, your email address in the chat box. I apologize. Hello, Sammy. Okay. We good to go, Kimberly? Do you want to go over?
Good. So first of all, I do need everybody's name and email. If for some reason you can't get the chat to work, that's fine. Grab a pen and paper or find a way to type it in real quick on another, somewhere else. But you'll just need to email me directly, your name and your email. I have to have everyone's. I know y'all did that at the beginning of the year, but I don't have that, because when we left at spring break, we didn't know we were coming back. So I don't have that with me, and I need that. So just make sure through the chat or emailing me one way or the other. I'm Berlygard, BERLYGARD at mac.com. So just make sure one way or the other that I get your email, because that's how you're going to get your assignments from now on. So we have a lot of housekeeping to go over, because obviously we're not meeting in person right now, and we will not be able to submit our assignments in a typical way.
There we go.
All right. And Joel, can you mute your speaker for me real quick, bud? Thank you. So there's going to be a slew of information that I'm going to go through to explain how we're going to submit assignments. And I know it's going to be a lot of work, and getting kind of used to it. I get it. We obviously didn't expect to be in this situation, so just hang tight. I know it's a lot of info. We're going to get through it. This class is being recorded, so I'm going to go through all of it, but if you kind of miss it, that's fine. You can go back through the recording, and everything I tell you, I'm going to email you as well. But I did also want to go over it verbally so that if you had a question, you could send me a chat and ask it, and I'll tell everybody, or you can just verbally ask. But essentially, because we're not in the same place, I need everyone to start checking their grades on the SIM website, because every time I grade something, I'll put it on the website, but it would be extremely tedious and take me hours and hours to email every single one of you every single grade. But I'm already putting it in the grade book online, and your parents can access that. If you have any questions on how to do that, have your parents email me, and I can tell them how to do that. But that's how you're going to find out your grades from now on, because we're not handing anything back to you anymore. I'm going to go over submitting things in just a second, but real quick, a note on your lab work and your reports. Obviously, the goal is for us to actually do the labs. So as we come across labs that, for example, 14.1, a lot of you may happen to have some of the things, or maybe your mom can pick them up at the store for you so that you can complete the actual lab. But obviously, like for Xander, I don't, y'all probably don't know this about me, but I have a lot of serious complex medical issues. That's why I've been absent a lot. I'm not allowed to go to the store. I'm the kind of person that, everybody's having to stay home store and look for cabbage and ammonia and things like that. I have to stay in my house. So if you guys are not in a situation, we get that, where you can't acquire the materials, then you can look for the lab to be completed online. For example, I have a link for lab 14.2 where someone has completed it on YouTube, and you can watch them do the lab on YouTube. So you can watch that. You will still complete the lab report as you have been, but this allows you to watch it if you can't come up with the supplies. So I hope that makes sense. On your leaf collection project, obviously I can't, some of us can't get to, 10, 20 leaves anymore. So if you can, then great, still do your project that way if you still want to do the physical leaf collection, but we are going to change the requirements, and it can be digital now. So you would create a digital leaf collection, whether it be photographs that you take yourself or just pulling from the internet. So you'll do everything else that it asks you to do, but you'll do it And this would be a great opportunity if you haven't spent much time in PowerPoint or Keynote if you're an Apple user. This would be a great time to try that out and maybe do it in a presentation file format like that. It would just be good practice because being able to do utilize presentation software is something that you'll need to do in upper level high school and in college and at jobs. So it'd be a great chance to practice that. It's not required. You can just do a PDF document, if you want as well, but it'd be a good opportunity for you to do that. So, so that's what the leaf collection will look like. And again, I have all of this coming to you written down, but that's what that will look like. And then for 14.3, you can Google the needed image. Xander and I did a quick search. We were able to come across whatever we needed. So you should be able to Google, Xander, I don't remember what it said, something like, the name for corn, the official name, STEM, whatever it was. We were able to find those images that we looked for. I didn't look for all of them, but we were able to quickly kind of come across most of what we needed. So you should be able to find those images for 14.3. So that's addressing the labs themselves. Does anyone have any questions before I move on to how to submit assignments now?
And just real quick, so you guys know, the 2 labs that the pre-labs were technically due today, but they'll instead be due next week. And then the actual lab reports will be done will be due the week after. I just added a link to, or a file in the chat. Everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, it's the syllabus with some stuff on there that I've, whatever you call this, call out text on there that kind of tries to highlight some of the changes. Really, we're kind of actually almost on schedule, yeah. So,
Yeah.
So just a few changes. And like I said, one of the main things is we're skipping 13, the second half of 13, and we're going to try to pick it up later in the semester. So.
Okay, so nobody seems to be flagging me down for questions. So I'll move on with how we're going to submit assignments. I know this is new. I know some of you may have never had to submit assignments electronically before. But just know this is frankly good practice because, again, upper level classes, NCTC, universities, all assignments are submitted electronically. So this actually is good practice. But ideally, we would have had more time to train you. So, but this is so, I know it's going to feel jarring and can take an adjustment, but from now on, all assignments are going to have to be typed and submitted according to these guidelines. Any assignments that were due today will be due next week instead, according to, so I'm sorry if you've already handwritten them out, but you'll need to, you've already done the work, you'll just need to type them and submit them the way that will be easier for us to get. I'm sure you guys can imagine how many pages a week you do for science times 12 of you. That would be insane trying to manage all of those papers. So this is kind of the best way Ms. Munsell and I came up with to manage these. So for your on your own questions, your vocabulary words, and your study guides, I will be sending you an email. In fact, I'll do it as soon as Ms. Munsell starts speaking. I will send everyone an email with these emails you've given me. And it'll go out for each module. I will send you the link to everything. So I'll send you the study guide now, even though you don't need it yet, it will still come out now. But the on your own, the vocabulary and the study guides, I will send you an email out, which will give you a link to what's called a Google form. Some of you may have used them before, some of you may not have used them, but essentially you just click the button. Xander, show them what it will look like.
You'll just get an email and it'll show you can't really see it. It'll say Google Forms on it and it'll give you spaces to write down. Yeah, you can't see any of this.
Or you can just tap the link. That's hard to see. It's okay. It'll just come in an email and
Right
you just
there,
tap
here
the
it
link.
is.
There it is. You literally just tap the link right there and go. That's it. That's all you have to do. You
Don't
can
fill
even
it out
answer them.
here.
Yeah, you can even answer them within the email.
No, you can't. If you can't do that. If you fill it out in the email and then press submit, it erases all of it and has you redo it on the website. So you want to say on the top, it'll say fill out in Google Forms. So you want to click on that, and then it'll take you and you can fill from
And
there.
Xander doesn't know this. I've actually adjusted it so that it won't show up in the email. It will basically in the future, it will just be, he got all my test runs. So it will just be a link to go to Google Forms. You'll just fill out the answers. On your own, I didn't write out the question. I just put 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, because you can, read in your book what the question is. And you just type in your answer. It's really user-friendly. Xander had never done them before, and I just, because I wanted to see how it worked, I didn't give him any instructions. He just was able to figure it out. So I think you'll be good on those. And just a reminder on the vocabulary, no copying and pasting. And it still needs to be the definition from the book. Don't try and Google it. If you Google it just to make it faster, you're going to get the wrong definition, and it's not going to do you any good. You need to still type it out from the definition from your book. It helps you remember it better when you rewrite it. So you don't do yourself any favors by trying to cut corners and copy and paste. And you'll also have the wrong definition and you won't get credit for it. So just type it out. Labs. So labs now will be typed. Pre-labs and regular labs will need to be typed. And you will upload your assignments as a PDF into a Dropbox folder, which you will also have a link to. I'll be sending that shortly as well. If you need help knowing how to save it as a PDF, see if someone else in your family can help you real quick, because they'd be right there with you. If not, if you're an Apple user, email me. I can tell you how to save it as a PDF. If you are a PC user, let Mrs. Munsell know, and she can help you figure out how to save it as a PDF. But it does need to be a PDF so we don't get formatting issues, because we have some Apple users and some Mac users amongst the and some PC users amongst the graders. So you're going to save it as your your labs. Whoops, I just realized I made a mistake. You'll save it as your lab number and then your last name. We have to have the lab number and your last name, because we need to know who it belongs to, because we have no way of knowing who uploaded it. So the file name on your PDF must be the lab number. So 14_2 Gardner, for example, would be Xander's next lab. And you'll upload that to the Dropbox folder. Again, I will send you a link. It is literally as simple as clicking the link and uploading a file. So I really think, even though it might be kind of clunky at first, you'll get used to it pretty fast. Tests, similar process. We're gonna send a document out to you. You're gonna type your answers with blue font. Use a blue font so we can see your answers easily. Type your answers into the file. It'll be a Word document or Pages if you're an Apple user. And then again, same thing. You're gonna upload that into that same folder, that same Dropbox folder with the test number. So test 14 Gardner. And if you choose to make corrections on your test, that's where it's gonna get a little tricky. Or if you want to see your test, you just email me. Most of you just want to know what your grade is, and you'll see it on the SIM website. So I'm not going to email everybody's test back to them unless you ask me, and then I'll happily do it. But I don't want to send it if nobody cares. So just if you want to see your test back and or do your corrections, which we can totally do, you just need to email me so I know that you want to get it back. I think that is all of the housekeeping stuff. Does anyone have any questions about how it's going to work?
How are you just going to send that document link thingy?
I have an email already composed, ready to go. I just need
That's why you need
everyone's,
their email.
yeah, it's ready to go. I've got the Dropbox link. I've got the links to the form to do your vocabulary, your study guide, and your on your own. That link's already, it's like I said, it's already composed. Everything I just went over with you, I have that document saved as a PDF. It will be in the email as well. So literally everything we just talked about, as well as access to all your Module 14 assignments except the test, are going to be in an email that you should get by the time class is over.
So, Kimberly, and for the ones who are missing, you need me to send their email to you?
Yeah, if you don't mind sending me their email, because like I said, I may have gotten emails from people, but I don't know what name goes with what email. So
Oh, yes, right, gotcha.
I just
Okay.
want to make sure that I see that I've emailed every single student at once.
Hey, Colin, is your mom on?
I don't know if she's on, but I've been talking with her today.
Okay, good.
And
And
so
what about Rochelle? Is
There's,
this
yeah, I don't see
boy.
them. Oh,
Cademan?
there's Cademan. Cademan's here.
Is your mom on? Yay, okay. Yes, I see.
Oh, yeah, there.
Colin's. Okay, good. I just want to make sure, so, and, because I was trying to look at how many participants and trying to figure out how many people we got out, because I know, trying to think, we got Bear, Brian, Brave, Samuel, Drew. I don't see Drew on here.
Is Brave on here? Did you say Brave? I can't.
No, yeah, he's not on here. Samuel, and I think that's it, 4, right? And that's everybody else. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and start on module 14 stuff. And if people, again, just questions, we got the chat here. You can unmute yourself. We'll see how it goes. Let me pull up my PowerPoint and see if I can figure this out. Okay. Whoops. Am I sharing? Are you guys seeing anything? Oh no, here we go. Okay. Y'all see that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get my chat box up. Okay, so we're moving on to Kingdom Plante, as it says here. Let me see if I can, hang on, I got to get the rest of my PowerPoint up. Okay. If you guys remember from the way back when, in the very beginning of the semester, we had a little bit of a classification chart, and we'll be using that a little bit with the Kingdom Plantae more in the next lesson. So we'll go over the differences, but if you can't find that, let me know, because it's helpful to kind of see some of the classification and how it's all, I guess, classified, you know, the phylums and orders and all that stuff. But as far as plants, we have the study of plants, botany. I'm sure that's one of your vocabulary terms. Other terms that you'll need to be familiar with, we have the perennial plants, annual plants, and biennial plants. And that describes how long the plants live, or related to their lifespan, with your perennials being the ones that grow year after year, like your trees, you know, and other woody plants, bushes, things like that. They don't have to be planted every year, which is really nice for us who are not have a green thumb. And definitely the kind I prefer to plant if I'm going to do a garden, but most garden plants, unfortunately, are annuals. And they have typically have herbaceous stems. Honestly, I didn't look up the term herbaceous, but it's as opposed to woody. So just imagine that. Most of your, like your grains and your flowers and a lot of those are annual plants. I thought it was interesting because I was thinking, well, what about our grass? You know, it grows year after year, it never dies. It's definitely a herbaceous, but they are actually perennials. Most of your grasses, lawn grasses, the ones you have to mow, you know, it's a good thing because we wouldn't have to plant those every year. There are some that are biennial plants. The first year they do the growing, and then the second year they reproduce, and then they die. Two other terms, there's organs. Plants actually have organs. there's vegetative organs and reproductive organs. Basically, reproductive organs are everything that's involved in reproduction, the flowers, fruits, and seeds. And the vegetative is all the rest. So it's just two types, kind of simple. Let's see, whoops, went backwards. Okay. And here we have a few different types of tissues that they have. So as opposed to organs, this is the actual tissues that make up the organs and the rest of the plant. We have meristematic. That is the only place, as far as I understood it, where the mitosis occurs. And these cells are actually not any type of particular plant cell. They are undifferentiated. So they can become any of the other types of tissues depending on what the plant needs. So it's kind of like a supply, a constant supply for all the other kinds of cells in a plant. And they call them stem cells, which makes sense. It's similar in other, in us, in animals and such. We call them stem cells, any undifferentiated cells. Ground tissue is not tissue that's just in the ground. So don't know why they use such a silly name for that, but some of it is in the ground, but it also can be like the stem and provide storage for starches and oils involved in metabolism. So you got your leaves, the tissue that it's not all the leaf, but leaves are mostly ground tissue. Support like your stems, and there's some cells that are used to manufacture proteins as well, that are ground tissue. Dermal tissue is just a single layer all the way around it on the outside. It can also be, I mean, it protects the plant from harmful, things from bugs and bacteria and funguses. And that's kind of interesting because if you think about it, that's why when a tree gets, or a plant gets nicked, or it's actually damaging, it's making a hole in the dermal layer, and that's where bugs and things can like fungus can get in a plant and cause damage. It also keeps needed chemicals from leaking out. In the roots, the dermal layer absorbs water and minerals. Then the vascular tissue, which is not necessarily present in all plants, is used to move everything, like your water and your minerals throughout the plant. And you have a couple of those. You have two kinds of, let's see if this, of vascular tissue. You have your xylem, which is a non-living tissue. Basically, it grows and then it dies, but it still continues carrying water and dissolved materials from roots to the leaves. And then you have your phloem, which is tissue that carries the dissolved sugars and organic substances throughout the plant, and it is living tissue. So if you think about that's the difference mainly. I mean, that they have different functions a little bit, but the xylem is non-living and the phloem is living tissue. The xylem also has typically a thicker wall. But again, the cells die when they mature. Okay, major parts of a leaf. So these are the parts you need to know. We have our apex. And the reason why we kind of want to have a definition for these parts of a leaf seems kind of silly, but when you're classifying and learning about anything about plants, you need to have common names for these parts so you can use these, because they have different features that we're going to use to identify the leaves and name the leaves, etc. So we have an apex, which is the top of the leaf furthest away from the stem. We have the margin, which is the edge. The midrib and the veins are contain the phloem and the xylem and whatever, and they're part of the venous system. And the base is right where the leaf, the blade itself, attaches to the petiole. And the petiole is the part that attaches to the stem. So let's see if I can. And then the stipule, this little part on the bottom is, whoops, well, gone, is they're little like leaflets. And it's like if you, when a leaf starts to grow, these kind of cover the new leaf growth. So, and they just kind of remain there afterwards. All right, and then this whole section here of this, where the apex, all this is, all the way to the base, is called the blade, leaf blade. Okay. Here we have two types of, generally basic types. There's actually way more. I did a few searches on some charts on leaf classification, and it's mind-boggling how many types there are. But basically a simple leaf is one that has only one blade on a petiole. So here's my petiole, and there's one blade attached to it. A compound leaf has a petiole, this whole thing, and has a bunch of little leaves coming off of it. They call them leaflets. So real simple definition. You got simple and compound. That's the only ones we're looking at today, that you need to be familiar with. Okay, here's some leaf arrangement. So these are all still simple, but the way they, well, I'm not real sure about world, but this is a couple different leaf arrangements. So you got your stem, and you got, you got different arrangements of how the leaves come off the stem. So this is alternating. This is the opposite. And then this is world. The leaf is all the way around. Each, there's a series of leaves around. It's funny because when you start looking at this stuff, you start walking outside and you'll just look at a tree and you go, oh yeah, I see that. So hopefully you guys will, after this, be a little bit more aware of some of the different types of, or the variety of plants. There's just so many. Leaf shapes. So hang on. Okay, so this is gets kind of crazy. There's so many leaf shapes. I could not find a good chart, one single chart that had all the ones we were like that even the book said, and the book only had what, 8? Wasn't very many. And let's see, so I can't see on this one. See, you can see that has the chordate here, has a deltoid, linear, orbiculate. That's all I see on this one that was the same, elliptical. You see on this one, this is the one from the book. This one is a little different. They had elliptical, linear. This one is a linear leaf. They called this elliptical. Then we got a little bit fatter, more like an egg. They classified those as oval. There's a lot of variations on this one. They called ovate, or all over the place with the charts, but generally egg-shaped. So even it can have a little tip on here, but generally egg-shaped. You can call it oval. Deltoid is basically an upside-down triangle. Anything that's shaped like that. This is chordate, which is heart-shaped, like an upside-down heart. Orbicular is, I think, orbit. It's a circular. These two were a little confusing in a lot of the charts. In this one chart, they called this one lobed. This is, in your book, it's called lobed, which pretty much any of the ones like this were called lobed. This was called lobed. They're just kind of slight variations on lobed. But for the purposes of this class, this will be lobed. And then if it has sharper inlets that kind of go further in, and down towards the petiole, they call that cleft. And this, of course, is a needle, like from a fir or whatever, or from a pine tree. And then this one, not very good picture in here, it's better in your book, is the scale-like. Let me show you. I wanted to see if I can go to this other. Well, let me go through this and I'm going to show you some other charts. So that's leaf morphology or leaf shape. Okay, and then next we have leaf margins. And these as well are similar to the shapes that there's like hundreds, literally. So here's some five basic shapes or basic margins. Remember, the margin is the edge. So from here we got this leaf here is it's called entire. Why they don't just call it smooth, I don't know. That would have been so much simpler. But they call it entire, and it means that the edge is completely smooth. And then the next one is called serrate. This one here usually has tiny little teeth all around it, jagged tiny little teeth. They tend to point more towards the apex and be asymmetrical. I kind of got that from different resources. It's a little confusing, but they tend to point. I have some better pictures than this that show that, I think. And I even collected a few leaves I'm going to show later that show that. Dentate, this one here is the dentate. It has a little more pronounced, and also one of the biggest kind of difference, I think, is they kind of point more out instead of up. You know, these ones, you can't tell it all in this picture, I apologize, but you can tell on if you look on other leaves, you'll notice these point all up. It's like if you rubbed your fingers this way, it would hurt because if they were sharp, you know what I mean, if they were soft, hard, like rubbing a dog's fur the wrong way. They all go up, and these, they kind of go more out. The crenate is basically similar to a dentate, but rounded, curved, blunted edges. And then undulate is just sort of wavy. It's smooth but wavy, and it can be very varied. So that's your basic leaf margins. And then, oh, here's another picture talking about, see, it has a lot of extra ones in here, but here's your crenate, here's your dentate going straight out. Here's your serrate going towards the apex. Here's your undulate. So that was some basic ones. I don't think that was all of those. Okay, and then we have the venous system of plants. The vascular tissue, the xylem and the phloem. The large central vein, they call it, is the midrib. So on this one, it'd be this one, and honestly, I don't know if it's this whole thing on this one or just this part, because the whole point on this is that the veins break out from the midrib. So I'm assuming it's just this small part. This one is not in your book, so just ignore it. Basically, the basic ones are pinnate, palmate, and parallel. I think that was the only three in the book, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So your parallel go in all, the other veins go in line with the midrib, easy enough. Pinnate, they go all the way up. This one shows them exactly parallel, exactly opposite, but I found a lot of leaves, they're not exactly exactly necessarily opposite like this. Some look just like this, but some are more, they may be that they're actually this type, but we're just going to call them pinnate. So when you collect leaves, you'll find they might not match exactly, but you can usually kind of classify them as, whoops, oh, going the wrong way. My slides keep moving on me. Pinnate, palmate, or parallel. The palmate, the difference is on these ones, the veins come, you know, all the way going to the tip. They go out from the midrib. On this one, they all come out from almost where the petiole attaches to the leaf. All right. Okay, so here's some pictures. And I looked at these. If you guys want, if somebody wants to chat, or all y'all, whatever, and kind of say what kind of shape do they think this is? This one here. So we got lobed. Wait a minute. Let me get my shape. We got lobed, we got cleft, we got, I mean, most likely all y'all gonna know that it's one of those, right? Is anybody chat? There we go. Okay. Very good. I only got one answer. Anybody else?
What's the question?
What kind of shape?
I lagged out.
Okay.
Shape?
Yeah, what kind of shape do you think this leaf here is?
I cannot remember.
Okay, so I mean, it's you know, on looking at if you have your chart, your book, you can look at that chart 14.4. I mean, it's kind of obvious because, well, like I said, okay, Xander said cleft, and I would give that to him. I have no idea. To honestly tell you, I have no idea if this is cleft or lobe. There was no other chart that had cleft in it, so I know it's some sort of lobed, and I think cleft is just a classification of it. And I think what I did see some other kinds that had this kind of, that were indented like this, and the definition changed depending on how big the indent was. So I would give cleft or lobe for that one. How about this one? Not real obvious really from that picture. But best guess, and you can't tell at all from that one because that one's like it's got
Cleft-type?
a little. Which one? What do you think?
Cleft-type? Or like tiny little rough? It looks rough.
Oh,
like
you're talking
like-
about the margin. The margin, yeah, you're actually right. I'd say the margin is. Let's see. There's serrate or dentate. You know what? It's so tiny I can't tell. I would say it's serrate, but I don't
Yeah.
know for sure.
Oh, it's serrate. That's what I was trying to say.
I kind of figured. I knew it. Actually, this one down here, the bottom one is more obvious, serrate. See how most
Yeah.
of them point, they look like they're pointing upward and they're very tiny. And this one's also more obvious as to the shape, I think.
Yeah.
What do y'all think the shape is? Chordate? Oh, yeah, Xander, I agree with you on this one up here that's chordate. Any of you guys see your chat box? Use your chat box. Let me know you're still listening out there. I have Joel and Xander. I don't have anybody else. Very good. Yeah, I would say this one too, chordate. I think that's what yep. Yep. I think you maybe could get away with saying it's deltoid, but I think it's more like chordate. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so then let's look at the venous system of this one. So here we got, looks like to me a central midrib, right? And then we got veins coming out. Some of them are right opposite, but others not quite. But still, looks to me most of them are coming straight out from the main midrib. Honestly, I bet this one is one of the ones that we don't have in our thing, because if you look at it, it sort of has a combo. It has some that come out from right here, but most of them come out from the midrib. Pinnate, I would agree. Pinnate is the answer, I think, for that one. This one as well. I would say is probably pinnate. All right, I think there's some more. Let me. Okay, how about this one? These ones are a little bit better. What shape is this one, first of all?
Parallel.
Well, the veins are parallel. So you got at least 3 things we're looking at. Shape, the venous system. Let's see, what do they call that? I can't. Venations. They call it venations in the book. And you got margins, the edges. Well, what are the edges of this one? It's obvious. Everybody. Oh, sorry, guys. What are the edges of this one? Yep. Xander got it. Anybody else have a thought? Yep, it could be, Cademan. One thing about the undulate is it doesn't count if it actually has to have pretty pronounced wave. So if it just most part, if it's just like wavy because the leaves crinkled or something like that, that doesn't count. If it's so generally I'd say this one is smooth, which is the entire, called entire. The veins are parallel. That's the venation. And it's most likely a linear leaf, though I can't actually see the whole leaf, so we can't 100% say that, but most likely. Okay. How about this one, guys? What shape? What venation and margins? This one's got a really cool margins, I think. A little tricky, but good, Rachel. Yeah, I'd agree. I'm not sure. I think more. Okay, so I got deltoid or chordate. It's tricky. It's close to chord. It's kind of it's pretty close to a cross. Whoops. Do not know why it keeps doing that. That's a tough one. It's pretty triangular, but it does have a little bit of a indent here, like it might be a heart. So I'd probably go with either one of those. It's probably actually technically another name for it, but I don't know. So I honestly wouldn't know. Margin. Which one are you doing, Caveman? Are you doing the left, right, or bottom?
For this current picture,
Here? Yes, for this current picture here. Which leaf were you saying?
yeah, it should be that one. I chose entire because of the curves on the bottom. Entire is the only one that matches this picture. In terms of
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and but it wouldn't. I don't think that. Where is that? Where's my smooth? Where's my margins? You're right, but that's kind of misleading. But in that chart, that is only speaking to the edge. So it's really, you're supposed to ignore the shape that they put on there. So just looking at the edge, this part is smooth, but these are obvious indentations or whatever you want to call them. And I would probably go with their sticking more out than up, although I guess you can make an argument either way. But I think I'd probably say dentate. I think that's, I got a few answers there. Xander got that one. Let's see, and venation, palmate, very good. I agree. I think it's more palmate than pinnate. It does have some pinnate here, but see how these veins all mostly start from here. Again, it's probably a mix. It's probably one that we don't have in our book. And again, I'll show you a chart in just a bit. Here, this one down here, how about this one? This one, I think some things are a little more obvious. The shape. All right, of our shapes, is this, we got, you got linear, elliptical, oval. It's probably one of those, right? It's not an egg, though, so I wouldn't say it's oval. Yep, Nasa, very good. I would say that is elliptical. And Xander already said, I think so too, that this is a, dang it, quit that. Okay, this is a serrated edge, that these edges do point towards the tip. These, yeah. And also it is pinnate. The venation is pinnate. See these guys? They all come from, see the difference between this one and this one? How this one has multiples coming out from here. This has one up this way and then the rest go out. So that, I think that's definitely shows a more classic difference. Okay, very good. Sammy, you got that one. Okay. All right, a few more. And this will help you guys when you do your leaves, because, I don't expect for your leaf project for you to get everything perfect. It may not be easy to tell with the leaves that you find, but I do expect an answer that fits. So you're going to have to put down what the margin is, what the shape is, what the venation is, and I don't remember what else on there, but whether it's simple or compound, I think. So the more you look at these, the more easier it gets, but it won't be 100%. As long as you give it, you're close, or you give it a good shot, that's fine with me. So here we go, upper left. What do we got? What do y'all think? Shape-wise, it's sort of a combo one, really. Again, I could actually say with either one. I don't think, yeah, dentate margins, I could go with that. They kind of point out. If they were up, they would be along this plane. They would point up. I wish I could draw. Well, I might can draw. If they were serrates, they would point this way, as opposed to like this one is out. So palmate, yeah, that's one of those ones. The midrib is so pronounced, it makes it look like it's pinnate. It's sort of a combo one, but I would say palmate because it does have several large ones from the base of the blade here. The shape, deltoid, yeah, I think I'd probably have to go with that. I think probably, again, this is one of those ones we don't have in the book, so I would go with deltoid. I think they might even call it ovate or something like that, but it's kind of a combination of a deltoid and an oval. Okay, this one here, a little more obvious, I think. Maybe again, a little more obvious. Not, I don't know, the edges. Actually, I think this edge is that one we called, they call it ciliary, and one of the other ones, we do not have that one in ours. So if you put serrate, I think that'd probably be the closest, or if you put, I would even take dentate. It's hard to tell what those edges are doing, but it's definitely not smooth. So entire would be wrong. And it's not, what was the others? Not really crenate, a little bit maybe, but it's not, and it's not undulating, which would be kind of biggie weight. Well, undulating, it's a little bit undulating in it right here, but let's see. Deltoid, yeah, I would say deltoid, very good. Yeah, excellent, excellent answers. What about the venation? What'd you say? We got palmate, yeah, I would agree, Xander, that's definitely palmate. Y'all see that palmate? main midrib, but several other large veins coming out from that have their own venation coming out from them, from the base. This one down here, can't see the whole leaf, so I'm not sure what shape it is. How about the venation though? What do y'all think? This is our midrib going towards our apex, and also even the shape. You could, yeah, you can see the shape from this. The margin, I mean, I'm sorry, margin, dentate, very good. Definitely dentate on this one. Majority are pointing towards. Well, I said, wait a minute, no, that's serrate that points at the top. Dentate, yeah, dentate. You're right. They don't really all point upwards. A lot of them pointing out. I need to find a good, well, okay, a good one that shows the serrate, because it really is pronounced. Actually, hold on a second, guys. I got some leaves I'm gonna go get and show you guys. Okay. Let's see if I can figure out how to get back to video and see if we can do a few real leaves, because it's a little different, not real obvious. All right. How do I get mine? Oops. Okay, can y'all see? Let's see if I can do this right. Well, that's kind of hard to do. Well, okay, what shape? Or sorry, I'm not very good at this. What shape y'all think? Oops, I lost my chat. Oh, here we go. Shape, we have, yeah, yep. Anybody else? Deltoid, very good. Excellent. Okay, yeah, definitely a triangle there. Nice triangle, actually. Okay, what do we got for our leaf margin here? These little guys. This one, not obvious. I would say it's in between a few things, but they're not really sharp edges. So I'm thinking, oops, sorry, I need to adjust my camera maybe. How do I do this? Huh. Sorry guys, I'm still practicing. Now I'm upside down. Okay, well, not sure that that's the best way to do that. Okay, sorry if I'm making y'all dizzy there. Okay, how about that? Anybody thoughts on what that edge, what they would call that edge? Just go ahead and throw it out there. It's okay if you're wrong, because dentate, we got a couple dentates, which I could go with that. They're just kind of pointing out. I would even go with the maybe undulating even, or crenate, although I don't think it's undulating because I think they're not big enough. I mean, the waves aren't big enough. It should be more smoothly big. So I guess dentate. I was thinking maybe it was more crenate because they weren't real sharp on the edges, but they're still kind of pointy. All right, and then the venation. Whoops. Can y'all see that venation? Looks kind of like there's one main rib, and most of the others come out of that main rib. Yeah, I agree, Xander. I think it's a pinnate. Yeah, it does look like a mix. I think several of them do, and I think there's probably another name for that. I'm not 100% sure, or there's probably something else that's a little bit more obvious, you know, like a little more definition that we could look up to be able to differentiate between those two. If I find that, I'll send that so that you guys have a better idea. Let's see, I got, here we go. Can y'all see this? Can't see it as good as I'd hoped. Let's see. I don't know how to focus these things. Anybody else know? No. Can you see the edge? It's hard to show, but they're little bitty pointy things, and they're mostly sticking out. They're mostly sticking outward. Yeah. Now pinnate means how the veins are, right? You can't see it really good in here, but they are pinnate. And elliptical shape, right? Shape, guys, elliptical. Because it's not quite oval. It's not fat enough to be an egg. It's not linear. So elliptical is kind of in between those two. And the edge, dentate, I would agree. They're sticking out. They're pointy and they're sticking out. Okay, now here's one. This came from it's just a tiny leaf. Oh, I hope you can see it, but it's because it's perfect example of a serrate. Let's see. I guess it's tiny. Okay. Can y'all see that? Let me see if I can put it behind something white. Let's see. Maybe have a way to focus these cameras. I'm not sure what the trick is. I guess they're just not very good resolution, so. But I don't know if you can see it all. There's little bitty serrated edges, basically. It's kind of an elliptical. And when you look at it, this came from a crepe myrtle. So if anybody has a crepe myrtle, they can look up crepe myrtle. And all of these little pointy things are pretty uniform, and they're all pointing toward the apex. Can you see that right there a little bit? A little bit. And it's really cool. It has a very nice pinnate pattern. Very obvious veins in that one. And here's obvious. Okay, what shape? Again, elliptical, yep. And the vein system, can you see that? It's actually, except for the edge is the same, I think. Pinnate, yep. Very good, Kira, that's right. And the margins. What do y'all think about these margins? Smooth margins. Very good. Yep. Smooth is entire. Smooth is entire. That's a little simpler when they're smooth. I didn't find an undulating one, unfortunately, so I'm not sure that that's real common. This one here, see, you would say that looks like it's undulating, but really it's just kind of wrinkly. So if I hold it straight or flattened it out, if I flattened it out, I don't think you'd call it undulating. It's hard to see. What shape would you guys say this one is? It's a little bit longer, I think, than the other ones. So we got shape, yeah. I think so, Kira. More linear. Linear and, oops. Yeah. I mean, that's what I would classify it under. You could maybe say elliptical, Xander. I mean, you could get away with it because it's kind of in between. It probably actually has a whole nother name that isn't in our book. So I would go either one. I would accept totally. So, okay. So enough about plants. Let's see. I mean, enough about shapes. I'm actually going to, let's see. I might have a few more. Yeah, this one here. I already did that one. Okay, so that's the like gross morphology of leaves, and I'll have a few more at the end of class. I'm going to show you charts and stuff that so you can kind of find that there's a lot of things you can look up, especially for your leaf project, to try to figure out what type of leaf it is. Okay, so for microscopic structures. So now we're looking at the insides of the leaf, basically. The epidermis, which is the dermal tissue that we talked about, protects the inner parts of the leaf. It's a single layer all the way around. It has a cuticle, which is, as it says, a waxy substance created by the epidermis of some leaves. That's, you see some leaves look kind of shiny. I showed you one earlier. I don't know if you can see. Well, you probably can't see from that, but let's see. I lost my chat. I lost my controls somewhere. Oops. Are y'all still seeing my screen? Or
We can't see your screen or you.
shoot. Okay, where did my screen go? Okay. Oh, there it is. I got windows on different screens and I can't figure out. There we go. Okay. Well, see, I keep losing my chat. Hang on. Here we go. Okay. Perfect. Kimberly, yeah, if you want to go, if you have the quiz and you want to go ahead and do that, that'd be great. Okay. The stomata are tiny holes on the underside of the leaf, which allow exchange of gases within the atmosphere. So, they release CO2 and sorry, they release oxygen and they take in CO2. Guard cells open and close the stomata. The epidermis, if an epidermis doesn't produce a cuticle, it often produces little tiny hairs that give off the velvety appearance, if you've ever seen that on some leaves. And sometimes the epidermis has defensive functions like stinging nettles. Have you ever had that happen? You touch something and it's like, ouch. I mean, I've been stung pretty bad from plants. It's really funny. It doesn't feel good. So what is the primary cause of the guard cells opening and closing? Does anybody know? This might be on your quiz, so you might want to listen. Anybody? I don't know if it is or not, but just saying. Well, what is the cause of, so the guard cells, yeah, the guard cells, well, yeah, but what makes them open to do that? That's what they do. They open up the stomatas so they can exchange gases. But what makes them open and close? Or what's the primary reason? What's the primary cause that makes them open? Anybody? It's actually the amount of light, which if you think about it, so if they're exchanging oxygen, carbon dioxide, that is occurring through photosynthesis. So it's all related to light, how much they make or how much they don't make. So, or how much they take in. Which is interesting that they even, you just think, well, the oxygen or the carbon dioxide's just all around, isn't it? Don't they just take it in anywhere? But no, they specifically have a place. The plant has a specific place it uses to actually take in, just like we do. Interesting enough. What else can leave through the stomata? So besides gases, anybody? It's kind of an important reason why the stomata close when photosynthesis is not occurring, like maybe in the evening, that they will close, the guard cells will close. There's no light, the guard cells will close. There's no photosynthesis going on, and it's to preserve this. Yep, very good. Keep water inside. Thank you, Xander. So water vapor can go out through stomata, or does go through the stomata. So obviously the plant wants to preserve that. So that's why they have this neat mechanism of opening and closing. Okay. How did I get back there? Oops. Okay. Did I skip one? Okay. Here's okay, so under epidermis. Under the epidermis layer, there's parenchymal tissue. Parenchyma tissues are cells that do the photosynthesis. So the epidermis itself doesn't do any of the photosynthesis. There's layers underneath it, but the epidermis protects those cells. These cells are made up of two layers of oval cells with chloroplasts. And way back when, in I don't remember what module, we talked about chloroplasts that hold the chlorophyll for photosynthesis. There's two kinds. There's a palisade mesophyll, which are tightly packed cells, and spongy mesophyll, loosely packed cells with space for the carbon dioxide. Arranged so that it touches every food producing cell. So food producing cells need carbon dioxide. So apparently these are arranged in a way to allow that carbon dioxide to get to those cells. And remember what type of, oops. Remember there was 3 types of cells, or not 3 types of cells, but actually there's 4 types of tissues in a plant. Y'all remember the types of tissues? There's the venous tissues, the dermal tissues. There's the, I forget the name of the one that makes, does mitosis. Starts with the M. The meristematic, and then there's the last one, the ground. So which would these 2 layers be? The parenchyma tissue. What kind of those 4? Anybody? It's not the dermis because it's under the epidermis. It's not the venous system, obviously. And it's not the meristematic. That's a mouthful, that word. Meristematic tissue, because it has nothing to do with It's not undifferentiated cells. These are well differentiated cells. So the only one left is ground tissue. So this is making up ground tissue. This is part of the ground tissue. All the parenchymal tissue. All right. Then we have the venous part, and it's actually 3 tissues: vascular tissues, collenchyma, and the collenchyma. Okay, so you got your vascular tissues, which are the xylem and the phloem. We talked about that earlier, and then the collenchyma, which are the thick-walled cells that support the vein. So, kind of not sure how that's arranged exactly, because I think this next picture will show you a little bit, but I guess they surround the veins around it to keep them from collapsing. That just give them more support, more strength. Okay, so here we got a microscopic picture. Oops. Honestly, I do not know why that does that. Okay, so we have a microscopic picture here. Unfortunately, it's not labeled, so now we have to figure out what each one is. I thought it was. Oh, it's in your book. Here we go. We'll cheat a little bit. All right. So, this is kind of obvious what this one is, right? All along, we got a single layer across the top, across the bottom. This is the epidermis, or dermal layer, epidermis. Either one would work. It's a single cellular layer that protects it. Okay, underneath we have, it looks like 2 layers of cells, right? Actually, the way they have it labeled in the book, this section right here is 1 layer, and this section is another layer. This section, you can see they're packed tightly in, and those are the palisade mesophyll. If you got your book, you can see that real obvious. See how tightly packed they are. And then here, they're all spongy. They're loosely packed, so carbon dioxide can get to everywhere it needs to. And this whole layer is called the spongy mesophyll. All right. Here's a stoma, or stoma is what they call it, which is another word for hole or opening. And then you got 2 guard cells. And then in this picture, they have a vein. The whole thing is called a vein. That's not real obvious. You would have to know exactly what you're looking at there to see that. But these are most likely the outer cells are the collenchyma, and then inside you got your phloem and your xylem cells. Kind of hard to really visualize that in that picture, but basically you got your collenchyma surrounds the xylem and phloem. Let's see. Okay, so that's your microscopic. Pretty amazing that they can have so many different types of cells in just a leaf. All right, or plant. Leaf color. So obviously leaves have different colors. We know that most of it, the green, is due to chlorophyll, and the green pigment is actually held in the chloroplast. But there are other types of pigments in plastids. There's carotenoids, which are yellow, orange, and anthocyanins, which are blue, purple, and pink, which is pretty interesting. I have some really pretty red, kind of actually purple flower leaves on our plants, our bushes out front. I don't know what kind of plant it is, really pretty. All kinds of different colors, even in the leaves. Even, it doesn't have to be fall. It can be different times of year. Like Nandina has really pretty colored leaves in the spring and everything like that. So there's a abscission layer of tissue at the base of the petiole in deciduous leaves that blocks the xylem and phloem running through the petiole when the days are shorter in the fall. So obviously, what does that do? That causes the layers to, the leaves to die and fall off. So they're not getting any more water or nutrition or minerals, and that's how we get trees that lose their leaves every fall. That's what they call deciduous trees. Basically that's how that works. What are trees that stay green all year? Obviously they don't have this abscission layer if they stay green all year. So what do we call those? Anybody know? Yeah, kind of makes sense, huh, Xander? Evergreens. Those are our evergreens. Your cedar trees, actually, well, I was going to say live oak, but that would actually be wrong. They're not actually evergreens. They're just don't lose all their leaves at once like most deciduous trees. A lot of your, of course, bushy plants are evergreens. A lot of cedars and pines and things like that. Honestly, I'm not that familiar with trees, so don't know a lot of the different ones, but okay. So another interesting thing is tannic acid. It is a chemical produced by the breakdown of plant cells contents, which causes the plants without other pigments to turn brown in the fall. So especially down in Texas, we have a lot of those kind of plants that don't really turn nice, pretty color. They don't have other pigments, and they just turn brown. When the abscission layer blocks the xylem and phloem. So, okay, roots. Now, the other part, very important part of the plant, 3 functions of the roots. So again, one thing to notice is right now, this whole part of the module is all on the vegetative part of the plant. Remember, there's 2 parts. There's a reproductive organs, and then there's a vegetative. If it is not involved in reproduction, it's called vegetative. So these are the vegetative. We did leaves, we did, and now roots, looking at roots. So we have 3 functions of roots: absorb, transport water, anchor the plant, and food storage. And then you have 2 kinds of root systems, fibrous or taproot. Simple enough. Okay. And then they also have a different microscopic they're obviously different than they have different regions in the roots of a plant. You have your root cap, composed of dead, thick-walled cells that protect the root as it pushes through the soil. So there's going to be on your end of your root. And you got your the meristematic region that's in the root. So those are the undifferentiated cells that we were talking about. Most growth occurs there. And then elongation region, cells are beginning to specialize, stretch out, fill central vacuole with water, which is interesting. And then the maturation region, when they're fully differentiated. Let me show pictures. So here, these ones are the differentiated ones. Let's see. So they're just called maturation region. Maturation region, and then they sometimes have these little hairs to increase surface area. Elongation, they're stretching out. zone of division is still the meristematic. So this is where your mitosis is going on down at the end. So you don't want to damage that area. That would be bad. And root cap, so when it's growing down, which is interesting. Here's another cool look at it, cross section. Epidermis, kind of obvious around. This one has another layer that we didn't really talk about, but they just talked about 2 layers, the parenchyma with the parenchyma cells, the 2 types. And then the inside, they call it endodermis, but from what I'm seeing in the book, they call it collenchyma. It's what surrounds the xylem and the phloem. This one's kind of a little more obvious, the xylem and phloem. They're little bitty tubes. Well, actually, I guess all these kind of look like little bitty tubes, but these are actually cells. They're not tubes. So these are kind of cells that surround like these circular, not vacuoles, but tubes. I guess tubes. That's the best way to put it. Okay. Let's see. Here's another picture. This is a closer picture of the vascular, or another picture. Oops. Are y'all okay? Sorry, it just said my internet connection was unstable. Not surprising. Hopefully it'll record. Well, no, I guess it'll record blurry too. Well, most all these are in your book anyway, so should be in your book. Good bit. Maybe not all of them, some of them. So again, our phloem xylem tissue in our center of our plant is a vascular tissue. And your ground tissue is this, all this in here is ground tissue, and then we have epidermal tissue. And the root, they actually have different terms. Okay, so so in the root, you have your epidermis. Again, exact same thing, outer layer. But then you have your cortex, which is between the epidermis and the endodermis, which substances, that's where storages are stored, in the cortex. And then your endodermis is another layer protecting the vascular chamber. And then, of course, you have your vascular chamber. So let me go back to that, because that didn't, here we go. So in your root, it's not, you don't have the parenchyma tissue because you don't have photosynthesis going on in the root. So these cells are your cortex, which is your storage. That's probably like what we eat in root vegetables, interesting enough. So, and let's see. Oh, end of show. How's that? Okay, I wanted to see if I could find, I have some, hang on just a second. See if I can find somewhere. Hang on, guys. I can't figure out how to get out of my, but when I figure out, okay, I wanted to, are y'all still on? I just lost my window here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, share beef morphology. Okay. What time is it? Yikes. 3:30. Okay. Well, we can end now. That's actually the whole part of the chat module 14 that we need to cover. cover. I was going to show a few other leaf morphology and show you how many there are. Leaf and leaflet shapes, just this chart right here. There's like so many. And we only have like 8. So, and then there's margins here. So there's lots of ways to classify. Here's some really good pictures of like undulating, some that we didn't really have good examples of, I don't think. Do you want to, what do we want to do with the quiz? Do we just want to kind of go over it? You guys got that right? Quiz 14.1.
Do you want them to do it on their own and just for practice, or I don't know how long it'll take to go through everything.
Yeah, I guess we couldn't really go through. I think that would be good. Yeah, I mean, really, if everybody just took like 5 minutes, how can they send that in? Could they? They couldn't attach it back to this window, huh? Like just type in their answers and, oh, is it a PDF? It's a PDF.
It's a PDF.
Okay,
I just
gotcha.
sent it as a PDF so they could look over it in
Okay.
theory while we were having class.
Okay. Well, you know what, we ought to, maybe everybody just, can they do it and just submit it as a worksheet?
Yeah, you guys could print it out, and or if you know how, if you have a PDF filler that you could answer the questions and upload it to the Dropbox folder that will be in the email that you'll get shortly.
Or they could just even type the answers if they wanted and send a Word doc,
That's fine too.
because, you know, but.
Is it intended to be open book or closed book?
It can be open book since they had it after the lecture. I mean, they could have, most of it we talked about, so it could just be open book. And I'll send it to whoever it wasn't here to, and it could just be a worksheet. So you guys get off easy. Open book quiz right there. Hopefully that'll be just more to, you didn't get it, Rachel? It's in this chat window. Scroll up in the chat. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see my chat window? Probably not. I don't know how to share my chat window, but anybody else not find the quiz up there? NASA, I don't see what they're talking about. Okay. So up at about 3:09 in your chat, if you just scroll up, why is it not showing to everybody? It says everyone. Does anybody see it? The quiz, Sim Science Biology Quiz 14.1?
I can see it on mine. I mean, obviously I
Okay.
sent it, but I see where it's showing up in the string.
Okay, some
I
people
can
are
also
finding
just
it.
attach it to the email, but ideally I'd like to know that everyone, it looks like Colin found it.
Yeah,
Sammy
Colin,
has it.
Sammy,
It's there.
Bademan got it. Oh, NASA, yeah, that might be on your phone. It might not be showing up. Some of them are using phones or maybe showing up some other way. It might not be really obvious. Obviously, you won't be able to print it from there either. Rachel, yeah, on an iPad that may be. But you do see the chat, so it seems like you would see it somewhere in the chat because that's where it is. So I also added an updated syllabus in the chat. So I guess I can send that because a lot of you might not be able to see that either. It's just showing that we changed a few things, how we're skipped over 13 and we'll do it later. Just some of the lab stuff that's a little different. But most of the stuff is going to be due. So the stuff that was due today, the stuff that was due today, like mainly the on your owns, I guess, and what was the other thing? I don't know. That was due today should be turned in by Monday.
It was just on your owns and vocabulary.
Oh, vocabulary, that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Y'all can just go ahead and go through and fill out the forms that are coming. I just was trying to send it to everyone all at once to get the other couple of email addresses that I don't have yet. But it'll have, you'll have everything you need there.
I'll send you an email separately, Kimberly, with all those other emails as well. Okay, does anybody have any other questions or need any other guidance, anything at all? Feel comfortable with attempting to identify leaves and making doing a leaf project? Okay, I'm gonna say yes since nobody said anything. And again, this will be recorded and you'll be sent a link for YouTube because there may be some stuff if you're not sure what we said, you can pull it up on there. All right, everybody stay safe and take care, and we'll be probably in touch during this week, I'm sure, and you can always email, and again, any questions you have. Have a good week.